this worksheet, how did the light dress up for the costume party? And I can tell you the answer is pretty funny, so just be prepared when you get there. At the top, let's write our name. So you get credit for it. So if there's not a name up there, then nobody gets credit for it. I just either throw it in the trash or I hang it up on the board with all the other papers with no names on it. So on this worksheet, we're going to be using the rules of exponents, which we all know because we just watched that video that was posted on Edpuzzle, right? I hope that you are saying yeah in your head right now, because you should watch that before you do this, or otherwise this and the rest of the stuff for this week may not make any sense. So we're using our rules for exponents, and on this worksheet, we're talking specifically about negative exponents. So it says write a fraction, or 1, for each power. For each set of exercises, there is one extra answer. Write the letter of this answer in the corresponding box at the right. We're talking about these. So you have 3 problems and 4 answers. For each one that you get, you're going to cross out one of them, and whatever's left, that's what you're going to put up here in the box. So we know you don't have to write this on a piece of paper. I'm just going to be writing it to remind us. So anything, any number to a negative power, let's pretend it's -1. That negative right there means that negative right there means that it's going to go in the bottom of a fraction. So we just take the whole thing like it was, and we can put 1 on top, because if there's nothing else there, we're just going to write a 1. So that, and then the power gets to be a positive. So if I had the number 2, and let's say I had 2 to the -5th power, it means that I put it in the bottom half of a fraction, and it's still a big 2, and it's still a 5, but now this exponent is not negative anymore. So they mean the same thing. So whenever you have a negative exponent, it means that it's going to go in the bottom half of a fraction. So over here on this sheet, all of these that we're practicing have negative exponents. And we're going to have to do some multiplying, because if you notice here, these are actual numbers. So you can use a calculator. So if you need to go get one right now, that would probably be a little easier than waiting until after you've got a whole bunch of stuff written. So have it nearby to use. So on this one, 7 to the -2nd power can be 1 over 7 squared. So these all have 1 over something, so that doesn't eliminate anything else. So I'm going to say, what is 7 squared? So 7 squared is 7 times 7. It is not 7 times 2. It is not 7 plus 7. It means 7 multiplied by itself. If we were going to write it out in repeated multiplication, it would be 1 over 7.7. 7 times 7, which is 49. So we're looking for 1 over 49. So here's what I want you to do for the answers. Underneath the number of the problem, I want you to list the answer, the first one, second one, and the third one. And then I'll know that the one that you don't list is the one that you're going to use up there. So I should see what your answers are in the order that they go. So this is my first one. So 1 over 49, or if you want to put, let's put the alphabet letter, because that'll save some space, especially when we get to these that are really big. So for the first one, I'm going to use V, and I'm going to go ahead and cross out so I know that I used it. So this next one, 2 to the -3, would be 1 over 2 to the 3rd. We'd get rid of the negative, which is the same as 1 over 2 times 2 times 2. They all are multiplied by each other. So with my handy dandy calculator, 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. So I'm looking for 1 over 8. So that's L. So my first one was B, second one was L, and cross it out. So now I have 3 to the negative 2. So it'd be 1 over 3 squared. 3 times 3 is 9. So I'm looking for 1 over 9, so that's B. So I'm going to list the 3 that I used in the order that I used them. I'm going to look for these when I'm grading your paper. If these are not here, then you're not going to get the points for them. I'm not going to take just the answer written in right here. So here's my B, I use that. So this is the one that's left. So for number 1, up here in your boxes, we're going to use A. So the answer that's left is going to be what's actually going to tell you what the answer is up here at the top to how did the light dress up for the costume party. Any of these, there is one down here. So I hope there's another one over here. So right here. So I hope that everyone remembers the rule for when there's any number to the 0 power, it equals 1. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's pizza to the 0 power, the answer is still 1. If it's 17 to the 0 power, it's still 1. If it's 46 to the 0 power, it's still 1. So I know that my first one is L, because that's the only one that has 1. So I can cross that one off. So make sure you remember that. That's one of our exponent rules you need to remember. So let's go back up to number 2. See if we can get one. Handy dandy calculator. So 10 to the negative 4, 1 over 10 to the 4th, which is 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. I need 4 of them. So 10, there's 1, times 10, there's 2, times 10, there's 3, times 10, there's 4. So I get 1 with 4 zeros. Anytime you have 10s, it's going to work out that way. The number right there is going to be how many zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So here's my answer. The first one is in, so I'm going to write that here. Just scribble it out so I don't end up using it again. 4 to the negative 3 is going to be 1 over 4 times 4 times 4. So 4 times 4 times 4. I'm looking for a 64 in the bottom. It has to be in the bottom half of the fraction because of that negative. So G on this one is going to be 9 to the negative second power is the same as 1 over 9 squared, which is 9 times 9, which I hope we all know is 81. So it's going to be D. So for number 2, I'm going to use the letter R. Up here it's last. So I'll do one more with you guys. 15 to the negative 1. 1 over 15 to the first power. 15 to the first power means that there's one single 15. We don't. If it had 2, it would be 15 times 15. But it's not. It's just one little 15 hanging out there. So that's just P. That's all it is. Can't do anything else with it. 8 to the negative 3 is 1 over 8 to the 3, which is 8 times 8 times 8. 8 times 8 times 8. So I have 3 of them. 5, 1 over 5, 12. So I'm going to do C. 2 to the negative 5th is 1 over 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 times 2. So in my calculator, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Give me 32. So that's J. Cross it out, so nothing to do. So number 3, in box 3, we're going to write an S. So any of these that have negative exponents, it means it's going to go in the bottom half of the fraction. Then we're just multiplying as if there was no, after it's in the bottom of the fraction, it's just like regular exponents. There's nothing new that we have to do with them. But that's why you're going to see all these fractions on here. It's really not that you're doing something with fractions. You're using exponent rules. You're just putting it in the bottom of a fraction to get rid of that negative exponent. Thanks.